Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Canto 3, Chapter 32, Text 41. Shraddha Dhanaya Bhaktaya Vinitaya Na Suyave Bhuteshu Krita Maitraya Sushrushabhirataya Cha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Krishna Prabhupada. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. So yesterday we were hearing Lord Kapiladev was telling Devahuti that this instruction of devotional service should not be given to the non-envious. And the same instruction Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also to Arjuna is because of the envy, one will not be able to understand the position of Krishna and might just make more and more offenses. And so in that, it won't be good for that person. So the best thing, that's the reason Lord Chaitanya, he knows we are all envious in this age. He advised us to chant Hare Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna, gradually, all the anarthas that we have collected in our heart, they go away. And envy is one of it. So Lord Kapiladev is giving the qualifications of one who will be able to understand this message. Faith, one who has even a slight faith, it goes a long way. To have faith in the words of Krishna. What Krishna is telling me, let me take it up. We have faith in so many other things. We take up with faith, even we read a packet, what are the ingredients, and then we trust that. We have faith in what's written on it, that these are the ingredients of what's inside. So similarly, we should have faith in Krishna's words. Faith, respect to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, understanding that everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. When we say friendly to all kinds of living entities, doesn't mean we have to go and embrace a tiger. No, we have to deal with everyone accordingly, but understanding that everyone is spirit soul. Friendly to all kinds of living entities means giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. That is really being a friend, connecting everyone to Krishna, giving Krishna to everyone, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. So these are some of the qualifications which are mentioned here. Reading on, Bahijata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Yasyaham Priyesam Priyaha. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. In the beginning, no one can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional service. Here, bhakta means one who does not hesitate to accept the reformatory processes for becoming a bhakta. So, in the beginning, we cannot expect to come on the pure platform. We are in the modes of nature. And when we just begin devotional service, we cannot expect that, oh, immediately we are going to be purified. But bhakta means one who is willing to take up the process of purification, one who is willing to take up the process of devotional service. That is a bhakta. In order to become a devotee of the Lord, one has to accept a spiritual master and inquire from him about how to progress in devotional service. So in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami gives us this first instructions of devotional service. He says, first, one must approach a spiritual master. Then take initiation from him and then inquire from him. Inquiry, submissive inquiry. Even Krishna says to Arjuna that we should find out this Tattvadarshi, the spiritual master who has seen the truth, and we should inquire from him. So taking up a spiritual master is not like matter of fashion, oh, I have a spiritual master, and so it's like having a one more medal in our possession. No, we should be eager to put forth inquiry. And what kind of inquiry? Prabhupada would say, not inquiry that, oh, when will my health be good or when will I get money? No, inquire about the absolute truth. Because it's only the spiritual master who can give us this knowledge of the absolute truth. That's what he is there for. And how to progress in devotional service. To serve a devotee, to chant the holy name according to a certain counting method, to worship the deity, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from a realized person, and to live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed are the first out of 64 devotional activities for making progress in devotional service. One who has accepted these 5 chief activities is called a devotee. So again, in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives us the 64 processes of devotional service, of how to perform devotional service, out of which Lord Caitanya said the first 5, these 5 are the most important. And we can see that how Srila Prabhupada, these 5 aspects of devotional service, he has put it in the daily temple activities. In any ISKCON temple, these are the daily activities to serve the devotees. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra, minimum 16 rounds. Then deity worship, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. There is Bhagavatam classes in the morning, Bhagavad Gita in the evening, from a realized person, and live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed. So the temples are Vaikuntha. Srila Prabhupada would say this is Vaikuntha because everything is being done for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna is the center. So when we accept these 5 activities, then one is called a devotee. To trying to become a devotee also, trying to become a devotee. One must be prepared to offer the necessary respect and honor to the spiritual master. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his god brothers. Rather, if a god brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such god brothers advance in Krishna consciousness. So envy, we have a lot of envy, and especially we get envy with people who we regard as our equals or like our peers, like somebody that we compare ourselves to. And if we feel they have more than us, then the envy becomes greater. But instead of becoming envious, we should respect them. Here Prabhupada is saying, especially if the god brother is more enlightened, then we should give them that respect, that he is almost equal to the spiritual master and should be happy for others in Krishna consciousness. We should feel happy to see someone advancing in Krishna consciousness, happy to see that they are getting the mercy of Krishna, mercy of Guru, that they are able to do such nice service. Because Krishna, that's what Krishna sees. Krishna sees our heart. He does not see how much what we can do, what we cannot do, but he sees the heart. A devotee should always be very kind to the general public in instructing Krishna consciousness, because that is the only solution for getting out of the clutches of Maya. That is really humanitarian work, for it is the way to show mercy to other people who need it very badly. Now, each of us is suffering here in the material world. We are all suffering here in the material world. What's the suffering? We think we are the body. We are suffering because of our forgetfulness of Krishna. So what is the greatest help that we can give one another is to connect each other to Krishna, remind each other about Krishna. That is really humanitarian work, because on the bodily platform, although it's important, it's necessary, we need it. But higher than that is our spiritual platform, our true position as eternal souls, parts and parcels of Krishna. And if someone can give us that, and if we can give someone that, then that is really humanitarian work. So this is why Prabhupada is saying, should be kind to the general public. Kind to the general public. That's the, we may take up many different processes of getting liberation from this material miseries, from the sufferings of the material world. But only when we come to Krishna can we actually make a true solution of our suffering. Otherwise, no. Everything else is temporary. Only when we come to the point of Krishna, when we come to Krishna consciousness, engage in devotional service, then we are really making a permanent solution to our suffering. That's why it's called the real humanitarian work. Prabhupada would say, if we have an itch, if we have a rash on the skin, and if we itch it, it feels good, but it's not going to solve. It doesn't get cured. In fact, it gets worse. But if we can cure that itch, that is the solution. So Krishna consciousness is the solution to all our suffering. The word Shushrushabhirataya indicates a person who faithfully engages in serving the spiritual master. One should give personal service and all kinds of comforts to the spiritual master. So the service to the spiritual master is done in two ways. One is Vapu and one is Vani. Vapu means the physical body of the spiritual master. We can serve by performing, giving physical services like cooking or cleaning or whatever, in whatever other way. And Vani is to serve the instruction of the spiritual master. So a devotee who does so is also a bona fide candidate for taking this instruction. So the Vani of the spiritual master is more important, to follow the instruction of the spiritual master, to serve the instruction of the spiritual master. Because Vapu, sometimes one may be able to serve and others may not be able to. But Vani, everyone can take up. Everyone can take up the service of the serving the instruction of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master is always instructing the disciples to serve Krishna, to chant the holy name, to give Krishna consciousness to others. So the word Bahirjata Viragaya means a person who has developed detachment from external and internal material propensities. Not only is he detached from activities which are not connected to Krishna consciousness, but he should be internally averse to the material way of life. When we engage in devotional service, then the result of engaging in devotional service is we get true knowledge and detachment from material activities. It's a natural process, as we were just speaking the other day, that when we eat, we automatically get strength and satisfaction and detachment from eating because we're not hungry anymore. So similarly, when we take up devotional service, that's the only way to get real knowledge and real detachment from the material world. If we are engaging in devotional service and we are feeling that, oh, but this is not happening, then we have to look internally. What am I doing? There's something wrong, then I'm not doing it properly. So such a person must be non-envious and should think of the welfare of all living entities, not only of the human beings, but living entities other than human beings. So it's not that only the human beings are souls and that the animals they don't have souls. No, each of us, the humans, the animals, the plants, the birds, the fish, we are all living entities. We are all souls. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. The the body is just an outward dress. We have also been sometimes in the body of a tiger, sometimes in the body of a chicken, sometimes in the body of a fish. Right now we are in the body of a human being. And so we should come to this point of non-enviousness. Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, in one of his purports, non-enviousness, he says, is when we can actually give Krishna consciousness to others. It's only then we are not envious of them. If we are letting them continue in material life, means we are still envious of them. But being a true friend, being truly non-envious of others, is when we give them Krishna consciousness. Because then that means we really care about that the soul. We want the soul to go back home, back to Godhead, be situated in the original position. The word Shuchaya means one who is cleansed both externally and internally. To become actually cleansed externally and internally, one should chant the holy name of the Lord Hare Krishna or Vishnu constantly. So externally, we clean ourselves by bathing. We take a shower to clean our body. But how do we clean our consciousness? That we clean our consciousness by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The more we chant, the more cleaner, the more purified we can get. That's the process that we are given in this age of Kali. We don't realize how our consciousness has become degraded. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are spirit souls, but right now we are thinking, oh, I'm the body, and then we are getting involved in envy and anger and ignorance. So we are degrading our consciousness. Then how to be situated in our true position, our true consciousness? Chant Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna. The word dhyata means that knowledge of Krishna consciousness should be offered by the spiritual master. The spiritual master must not accept a disciple who's not qualified. He should not be professional and should not accept disciples for monetary gains. So the duty of the spiritual master is that not that he takes up disciples only to get some money from the disciples or to get the label that I have X hundred number of disciples or thousands of disciples. No, he's not supposed to be just a professional. He needs to give Krishna consciousness. Only then he is a spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master must see the bona fide qualities of a person whom he is going to initiate. An unworthy person should not be initiated. The spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be the dearmost goal of his life. So just as the disciple, he tests the spiritual master also should test the disciple. There's usually a waiting period of 1 year almost. At least in ISKCON, it's like that, where the disciple, he hears from the spiritual master that he decides, oh, I want to take initiation from this spiritual master. He needs to hear and see if he's able to follow the instructions. If he's able to follow, if he has the confidence that, yes, this person can get me out of the material world. And similarly, the spiritual master also tests the disciple. Is the disciple sincere? Is he really want to take up Krishna consciousness, or does he have something else in his mind? So that is the way both the spiritual master and the disciple, they test each other. And when both are bona fide, then then the flow of knowledge which takes place and the flow of service which takes place is wonderful. So the duty of the spiritual master is to train the disciple so that the disciple's only goal of life, dearmost goal of life, becomes Krishna. May not be now, but with the training, the spiritual master has to be so expert that he can train the disciple, that the disciple can completely understand that Krishna is my dearmost object. In these two verses, the qualities of a devotee are fully explained. One who has actually developed all the qualities listed in these verses is already elevated to the post of a devotee. If one has not developed all these qualities, he still has to fulfill these conditions in order to become a perfect devotee. So being a devotee, all these qualifications are needed. It's a very high platform to be a devotee. It's not a simple word. That's the reason we say we are trying to become devotees. Trying because we still have so many faults in our heart. We have so much envy still in our heart. So here the devotee is meant to be non-envious. So that's the reason we say we are trying to become devotees. Trying to become. Okay, reading on. Ya idam shunyad amba shraddhaya purusha sakrit yo vidate makchita sahi eti padavim chame. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of 3rd Canto, 32nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. So here's the Shruti Phala. Lord Kapila Dev, he's saying, who once meditates upon me with faith and affection. Meditation with faith and affection. One who hears and chants about me surely goes back home, back to Godhead. This is how kind and compassionate Krishna is. We simply hear the narrations of Bhagavatam, and then we get this beautiful benediction. Here, Lord Kapila Dev is saying, who hears and chants about me, who meditates once upon me with faith and affection, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Did any of you want to add anything or comment on anything? So we all want to go back home, back to Godhead. That's the goal. We are spirit souls, so we need to go back to the spiritual world.
I just had one question.
Yes.
Sorry, I just had one question. So we said that who can initiate us? Is it that the one who has to be a guru need to be a sannyasi, or the devotee who's initiated and who's practicing can initiate us?
Spiritual master does not have to be sannyasi.
Okay.
At least in ISKCON, there are many grihas also who are initiating spiritual masters. Doesn't have to be a sannyasi. Grihast
So like
fine
Baldev
too.
Prabhu, so that means that if Baldev Prabhu someday decides to be
Yeah,
like
he can.
he can, right? He can.
Yes,
If
he
he
can. But I'm not sure if he's taken up the service as yet or
No, he
no.
hasn't. He hasn't. He hasn't. I know that, but I'm just asking. There was a discussion that day at the temple when we were working that why isn't he? Why isn't he? Somebody wanted to get initiated from him, but then he said no. Then why? So is it that because he's a grihastha or they can't or what? What like we were just confused on what is the rule. So
Yeah, no, maybe it's
yeah.
just his humility. I don't know.
Hmm.
You can ask him. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But it's not that because he's grihast. Grihast can. We have many grihast initiating spiritual masters.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's the reason. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I was just confirming that if that's not the reason, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.